Hi everyone, Brock from Brock's Badger Health and Fitness, and today we're going to talk about how you can lower your risk of dying.
I think we will see where everyone will be in 15 years when everyone has no tears, can't have a face, don't have a place. Want everyone to have children.
Okay, so this video is going to run a little bit different. I'll try to put some, little bits of information up on the screen for you guys to have a look at, and I'll back it up with some information verbally. So, the title of this video is Reduce Your Risk of Death, Eat More Colors in Your Diet. And this is true. Eating a variety of colors in your diet is going to, reduce your risk of dying from the most common cause of death. Now, when I'm talking about colors, I'm not talking about artificial colors like cordials, really bright blues, or like Gatorades, We're not talking about lollies, we're not talking about cakes, we're not talking about any of those artificial colors. What we're talking about here is to have a good variety of different plant foods in your diet. So you might go, okay, Brock, I got to eat more plants. Why do I have to eat more plants? Well, the top 10 out of the top 10 global causes of death back in the year 2000, ischemic heart disease, or heart attack, was number one. It killed roughly 7 million people. You might go, well, that's all cool, Brock, but that was the year 2000. Like, surely now, in this modern age, with all of our blockbuster cholesterol killing drugs and, these amazing technologies that we have, we would have reduced that significantly. Well, unfortunately, that's not the case. And if we look at in 2016 by the World Health Organization, which is where I've got all this information from, and I'll put all the links to all of these articles that I've had a look at for the source of this information, and you can go and check it out for yourself. Okay, shouldn't just trust me, and go out and get informed and look at these different studies that are out there to make your decisions on health. So okay, now if we look at how many global deaths there were in 2016, this is the top 10 causes. Once again, we have ischemic heart disease on the top, and this time it's killed closer to almost 10 million people globally. That's pretty scary. Let's have a look at more modern statistics and what the World Health Organization's saying about that 17.9 million people might die each year from cardiovascular disease. That's estimated to be 31% of all deaths worldwide. Now, that's a pretty significant figure. There's what, 7 odd billion people on planet Earth. 31% of that is a lot of people dying from something that's very preventable. That's largely preventable. And it's preventable through eating more colored vegetables, fruits, and plant-based foods. Let's have a look at a couple of studies to support this. Okay, so first we'll have a look at this one published by Patel and colleagues. The purpose of this one, as you can see in the slide, was the aim is to summarize and discuss the role of plant-based nutrition as an adjunct to the management of cardiovascular disease. So using plant-based diet to manage cardiovascular disease. Discussion of nutrition benefits of the plant-based diet should be highlighted during healthcare provider visits as an essential part of the overall cardiovascular disease prevention and management care plan. Now, for them to be saying that, that's some pretty substantial evidence. Let's go into the study. So taking a quote from Patel and colleagues here. Cohort studies indicate that a high consumption of predominantly plant-based foods, such as fruits and vegetables and nuts and whole grains, is associated with a significantly lower risk of cardiovascular disease. The protective effects of these foods are likely mediated through their multiple beneficial nutrients, and then it goes on to list all of the beneficial nutrients. It talks about the mono and polyunsaturated fatty acids, the omega-3 fatty acids, the antioxidants, the vitamins, the minerals, the phytochemicals, the fiber, and the plant protein, in addition to minimizing the intake of animal proteins, has been shown to decrease the prevalence of cardiovascular disease. Now, that's pretty compounding evidence. Finally, upon summary of the study, substantial evidence indicates that plant-based diets can play an important role in preventing cardiovascular disease and its risk factors. Such diets deserved more emphasis in dietary recommendations by public health schemes. So it's a good study to have a look at. I recommend you do. I'll put the link in the description. Which kind of comes into another reason why I made this video, which is like, I got access to this paper pretty easily through Google Scholar. So you can check out the link below. I'll post it. But yeah, it was pretty easy to get. Very easy to do yourself. When it comes to your health, it's really worth being informed on these things, and considering that cardiovascular disease is the world's biggest killer right now. As we saw in those slides before. It's worth looking at how different dietary things can help you out. So now you may be saying, okay, Brock, yeah, we get it. It reduces the risk of cardiovascular disease. Why should we, what's the colors? Well, the colors come into it in terms of, basically, put in simple terms, the more different types of colors of vegetables and fruit and nuts and seeds that you're eating, the more diversity of different nutrients and phytochemicals you're going to get. And that's what they're talking about in these studies. They're not talking about just, eating potato and fake butter. They're talking about having lots of whole grains, lots of legumes like lentils and beans. They're talking about, eating lots of fresh green leafy vegetables. They're talking about eating purple vegetables. They're talking about, like eggplants and things like that. They're talking about getting your reds from tomatoes and capsicums, and getting your oranges from carrots and pumpkin and sweet potato. That's what they're talking about. Whole food, plant-based diet, lots of colors. Now, a couple of the advocates of this style of eating are all about low fat as well, and I don't necessarily believe in that. If you look at this other study here that I'll put up on screen, and I'll put in a link in the description, it's looking at plant-based diets that are higher in nuts. And here's a quote from the study. By using whole food vegan diets having up to 35% of total energy from fat derived from nuts and other rich fat from plant origin, that are low in saturated fat content, you can not only protect against cardiovascular disease, but you reverse it also. Once again, some pretty cool, compelling science to back up these claims. A little side note here: it's not only important to eat better, but choosing the right drinks as well is very important. We talked about before, not having sugary cordials and things like that, and soft drinks, obviously, artificially colored things. Stay away from those things. We're talking about real colors here. And let's talk about the color of green. Green tea, awesome drink. Has some amazing antioxidants in it. You know what? I'll put another study down below, and you can look at that. One quote from that study says, basically, the benefits of green tea, including the prevention of bad cholesterol, LDL oxidation, reduction of platelet aggregation, lipid regulation, and inhibition and proliferation and migration of smooth muscle cells. Any of those factors might be promising in reducing cardiovascular disease. So basically, in English, what it's saying there is that it helps different blood factors. It helps to regulate your blood lipids, which we all know when we go to the doctor. The doctor's always looking for, how many triglycerides you've got, your ratio of good cholesterol in quotation marks to bad cholesterol in quotation marks, but basically HDL to LDL, which is your low density and high density lipoproteins. And then basically, when it's talking about the inhibition and proliferation of migration smooth muscle cells, what it's trying to say there is, inside of our blood vessels, we have a certain size lumen or hole, and this is where the blood passes through. And the theory there is that the tighter the constriction of the muscular layer of that blood vessel is, meaning, more proliferation, migration of smooth muscle cells, then the higher blood pressure is. And high blood pressure, as we all know, is a risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Post the link to that study also down below, all of the WHO links from World Health Organization and the other two studies about the plant-based diet. If you have any questions, please hit me up on Facebook, on Instagram, or in the comments down below. Let me know what other videos you want me to do something about, guys. Let's get a bit more information out there, start chatting about these things. All right, take care. Brock from Brock's Badger Health and Fitness, signing off.